Deep within the shadows of a silent cave on Mount Hira, a single moment of divine revelation was about to ignite a fire that would reshape the entire course of human history. Imagine a world of warring tribes, shifting alliances and ancient idols suddenly transformed by a solitary voice from the heavens, delivered by the Archangel Gabriel himself. This is not just a story of a man named Muhammad. It is an epic saga of survival, profound prophecy, and the birth of a global faith that united the fractured desert sands under one God. From the bustling trade routes of ancient Mecca to the sacred refuge of the Christian kingdom of Aksum, we are diving deep into the origins of the Prophet of Islam, uncovering the mysteries of his lineage through Ishmael and the miraculous events that changed the world forever. You are watching Guardians of the Covenant, your ultimate guide to the profound mysteries of the Scriptures. If you are ready to witness how history was forged in the heart of Arabia, hit that like button right now, subscribe to join our growing community of truth seekers, and share this video to help others uncover these ancient truths. Let the journey begin. Before we begin this sacred journey into the heart of history, please subscribe to Guardians of the Covenant and join our community as we explore the deep mysteries of the Scriptures together. Have you ever wondered how a single voice, echoing from a lonely cave in the vast Arabian desert, could rise to change the geopolitical and spiritual landscape of the world forever? Imagine standing in the shifting sands of 7th century Arabia, a land of ancient mysteries, fierce tribal loyalties and poetic oral traditions, where a man named Muhammad received a message that would reshape human destiny. Was he merely a mortal merchant navigating the caravan routes, or was he truly the seal of the prophets, chosen to confirm the monotheistic path of Abraham, Moses, and Jesus? Today we pull back the veil of time to uncover the soul-stirring origin of Islam. We journey from the sacred heights of Mount Hira to the royal courts of Aksum, seeking to understand the man who unified a peninsula under a single vision. Who was he, really, and why does his legacy continue to vibrate through the hearts of billions centuries later? Stay with us until the very end, for this story is not just about the past. It is a tapestry of faith, struggle, and survival that still speaks to us today. If you feel inspired by these ancient truths, please like, comment, and share this video so the world can witness the origins of Muhammad and the Arab people. Now, let us immerse ourselves in the breathtaking history of the one known as the Prophet of Islam. In the sacred traditions of Arabic history, he is Muhammad, a figure who stood at the absolute crossroads of religion, social reform, and political leadership. According to Islamic doctrine, he was not the founder of a new religion in the modern sense, but a divinely inspired prophet sent to preach, confirm, and restore the pure monotheistic teachings transmitted by Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Muslims believe he is the seal of the prophets, the final messenger in a long line of divine guidance. Muhammad unified the disparate tribes of Arabia under a single Muslim polity, with the Quran, the recitation of God's word, and his own teachings and practices known as the Sunnah, forming the bedrock of Islamic religious belief. To understand the man, we must look back to his arrival in a world of dust and divinity. He was born around the year of the elephant, approximately 570 AD, in the city of Mecca, a thriving commercial hub in the Hejaz region of the Arabian Peninsula. His lineage was noble, yet marked by tragedy. His father was Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib, the son of the powerful Quraysh tribal leader Abdul Muttalib ibn Hashim. Abdullah died a few months before Muhammad's birth during a trading journey, leaving a profound void in the family before the child even took his first breath. Abdul Muttalib was a prominent leader in Mecca and the head of the Hashemite clan, a man of immense respect who was responsible for the monumental task of rediscovering the Zamzam well and maintaining the Kaaba, the holiest site in pre-Islamic Arabia. Tragedy, however, continued to shadow the young boy's life. His mother, Amina bint Wahb, died on the return journey from Medina when Muhammad was only about 6 years old, leaving him an orphan in a harsh world where tribal protection was everything. He was raised first under the tender care of his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, and after the patriarch's death 2 years later, he came under the protection of his paternal uncle Abu Talib. Abu Talib, the new head of the Banu Hashim clan, was a man of integrity but limited means. He cared for Muhammad with unwavering devotion, treating him like his own son. Under his uncle's tutelage, Muhammad learned the ways of the desert and the caravan trade, earning a reputation for honesty that would later grant him the title Al-Amin, the trustworthy. Years later, as a grown man seeking deeper meaning beyond the materialism of Meccan society, Muhammad began a practice of spiritual retreat. He used to isolate himself periodically in a small cave on the mountain called Jabal al-Nur, or the Mountain of Light, specifically in the cave known as Mount Hira. This cave is located about 3 kilometers north of Mecca, a place of profound silence and rugged beauty. When Muhammad was about 40 years old, around the year 610 AD, he reported a life-altering event during the month of Ramadan. In the solitude of the cave, he was visited by the Archangel Gabriel, known in Arabic as Jibril. The angel commanded him to recite Iqra in the name of his Lord. This marked the first revelation of the Quran and the beginning of his prophetic mission. For the next 3 years, Muhammad preached these revelations privately to his close family and friends. Then, around 613 AD, he began to preach publicly in Mecca, proclaiming to all that God, or Allah, is one, that idol worship was a corruption, and that complete submission to him is the correct way of life. Hence the name Islam, which in Arabic origin means submission or surrender to the will of God. He claimed to be a prophet and messenger of God, standing in the same lineage as the great prophets of Judaism and Christianity. However, Muhammad's message threatened the social and economic order of Mecca, which relied heavily on the pilgrimage trade to the idols of the Kaaba. His followers were initially few, consisting mostly of the poor, the marginalized, and the youth, and they faced intense hostility and persecution from the polytheistic Quraysh leaders for about 13 years. To escape ongoing persecution, in a pivotal moment of interfaith history, Muhammad sent some of his most vulnerable followers across the Red Sea to the kingdom of Aksum, located in present-day Ethiopia and Eritrea. In 615 AD, the kingdom of Aksum was a powerful ancient state that encompassed southern Arabia and a part of northern Africa. Its capital was the city of Aksum, an important political, cultural, and commercial center that had flourished for centuries. Crucially, the kingdom of Aksum was one of the first states in the world to adopt Christianity as its official religion in the 4th century AD. The Christian king, known in Islamic tradition as the Negus or al-Najashi, ruled with justice and wisdom. When the Quraysh leaders sent emissaries to demand the return of the Muslim refugees, the Negus summoned the Muslims to his court. After hearing Ja'far ibn Abi Talib recite verses from the Quran regarding the Virgin Mary and Jesus, the king wept and refused to hand them over, famously declaring that the message of Muhammad and the message of Jesus came from the same lamp. King Negus is remembered with great respect in Islam for his just and tolerant stance, proving that compassion transcends religious borders. Back in Arabia, the situation worsened until 622 AD, when Muhammad and his followers migrated from Mecca to the oasis city of Yathrib, later renamed Medina. This pivotal event, known as the Hijra, marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar and the transformation of the Muslims from a persecuted religious group into a socio-political community. In Medina, Muhammad united the feuding tribes under the Constitution of Medina, establishing a new social order based on justice and mutual defense. Over the next decade, a series of defensive battles and treaties occurred between the Muslims of Medina and the Quraysh of Mecca. Finally, in December 629 AD, after the Quraysh violated the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, Muhammad gathered a formidable army of 10,000 converted Muslims and marched towards the city of his birth. Muhammad's conquest of Mecca was largely unchallenged and remarkably peaceful. He entered the city with humility, head bowed, and granted a general amnesty to his former enemies, declaring, "Go, for you are free." He proceeded to the Kaaba and cleansed it of its 360 idols, restoring it to the worship of the one God of Abraham. This victory solidified the triumph of Islam in Arabia. In 632 CE, a few months after returning from his farewell pilgrimage, where he delivered a sermon emphasizing the equality of all believers regardless of race or lineage, he fell ill in Medina. He died in the apartment of his wife Aisha, with his head on her lap. At the time of his passing, most of the Arabian Peninsula had converted to the Islamic religion, uniting tribes that had been at war for centuries. The revelations Muhammad was reported to have received over 23 years were known as al-Wahy, or divine inspiration. These revelations were recorded and memorized by his companions and later compiled into the Quran, which Muslims consider the literal, uncreated word of God. In addition to the Quran, Muhammad's sayings, actions, and silent approvals, called the Sunnah, are preserved in the vast literature of the Hadiths, serving as a secondary source of Islamic law and guidance. Now, let us explore some fascinating curiosities about Muhammad's life that often spark deep discussion. Many people know, and at the same time do not know, that he was a direct descendant of Ishmael, the firstborn son of Abraham, through his father Abdullah. Arab genealogists trace his lineage back to Adnan, a descendant of Kedar, the son of Ishmael. This fulfills the biblical promise that God would make a great nation of Ishmael. Although most claim that Muhammad was a descendant of Ishmael through Adnan, there are also some speculative views regarding the exact generational gaps, but the spiritual and tribal link to Abraham is central to Islamic identity. Regarding Muhammad's physical appearance, he is described in the Shama'il literature with great detail by his companions. He was said to be of average height, neither very tall nor very short, with a broad chest and shoulders. His skin was described as a balanced Semitic tone, neither absolutely white like lime nor dark brown, but often described as having a reddish tinge. His hair was neither curly like peppercorns nor straight like straw, but wavy and full of life, falling to his earlobes or shoulders. His eyes were large and black, with long lashes. He walked briskly, as if descending a slope. When God took him, he had only about 20 white hairs on his head and beard, a sign of his enduring vitality, even in his later years. These descriptions paint a picture of a man who commanded respect through his presence alone. It is true that according to reports from people who accompanied Muhammad, he had physical characteristics typical of a Semitic man of the Hejaz region. His appearance was reminiscent of the ancient Semites, reflecting the shared heritage of the region. As for Muhammad's personal life and his wives, known as the mothers of the believers, there are different accounts. He was monogamous for 25 years with his first wife Khadijah, a wealthy merchant woman 15 years his senior, who was the first convert to Islam. After her death, he married several women, most of whom were widows or divorcees, often to cement tribal alliances or provide protection. Among his best-known wives are Sauda, who cared for his household, and Aisha, the daughter of his closest friend Abu Bakr, who became a renowned scholar of Islam. It is widely believed that Muhammad died in 632 AD in the month of June, and it is likely that he was around 62 or 63 lunar years old at the time of his death. He was the final prophet of Islam and had 3 sons, Qasim, Abdullah, and Ibrahim, who all died in infancy, and 4 daughters, Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, and Fatima. It is commonly believed that all these children were born to his first wife Khadijah, except for his son Ibrahim, who was born to Mary the Copt. Many Shiite Muslims maintain a special reverence for Fatima, regarding her as the matriarch of the line of Imams. Furthermore, he also had an adopted son named Zayd ibn Haritha, a former slave whom he freed and treated as his own, challenging the strict social hierarchies of the time. Muhammad belonged to the Arab tribe of Quraysh, specifically the Banu Hashim clan, which was responsible for the welfare of pilgrims. Interestingly, during his first sermons, many Arabs told him that his experience was not a divine revelation, but only a jinn, an ancient spirit or genie, playing with him, or that he was a poet possessed by a muse. This perspective was common in antiquity to explain supernatural inspiration, though Muhammad consistently denied being a poet or a soothsayer, maintaining that the Quran was not of his own making. Most Muslims believe it was truly the Archangel Gabriel who facilitated the revelation. Medina is where Muhammad lived his final years and is where he was buried, within the chamber of Aisha, which is now part of the Prophet's mosque, Al-Masjid an-Nabawi. This site stands as a place of eternal peace and is the second holiest site in Islam. Beyond his role as a leader, the personal life of the Prophet offers a glimpse into the human side of this monumental history. His interactions with his family, his humor, his grief over the loss of his children, and his compassion for animals are all recorded in the Hadith, painting a portrait of a man who was deeply connected to the human experience. He was known to mend his own clothes, help with household chores, and play with his grandchildren. In the quiet month of June, 632 AD, his passing marked the end of the prophetic era, but the beginning of the expansion of the Muslim community. He left behind a legacy that would echo through eternity, influencing law, philosophy, art, and governance across the globe. While historical perspectives vary, such as the Shiite belief regarding the succession of leadership through his cousin and son-in-law Ali, husband of Fatima, his role as the unifier of Arabia and the messenger of a monotheistic faith remains the central pillar of his story. Interestingly, the path of prophecy was never without doubt from those around him. In the early days, the skepticism of the Quraysh was intense. They offered him wealth, kingship, and women if he would only stop preaching against their idols. His refusal, famously stating that if they placed the sun in his right hand and the moon in his left, he would not abandon his mission, underscores his absolute conviction. Today, Medina stands as a sanctuary of peace, housing the Prophet's mosque, where millions of pilgrims from every corner of the globe gather each year to find refuge, reflection, and a connection to the man who started it all. As we close this chapter on the origins of Islam, we invite you to look at how these ancient footsteps still mark the path of modern faith. Did you find this journey through the sands of time enlightening? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Guardians of the Covenant, leave a like to support our work, and share this story with others. Join us as we continue to unveil the lives of the most influential figures in history. See you in the next episode.